Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's no secret to my subscribers that I am anxiously awaiting the release of XDefiant, even though we don't have a release date yet. But last week, Mark Rubin and the Twitter page XDefiant Informer posted some things I want to cover in this video. There is going to be quite a bit to cover in this video, so before we get into it, if you like what you've seen today, make sure you hit that like and sub button for more content like this. Okay, let's get into it. Since the large majority of this video is going to talk about where XDefiant is in development and why we haven't seen anything yet, let's turn our attention to an article posted by Mark Rubin to the official Ubisoft website. Mark opens up the beginning of this article by going into detail about how the submission process is going. Mark states, quote, "Submission is the part of development where we give the game to first parties, those being Sony, Xbox, etc., to check that the game works correctly in their environments. Once we have fixed or completed all of the tasks that we want/think we need for submission, we then spend about 2 to 3 weeks prepping and validating a candidate master that we think is the final version of the game for submission. It then goes through 1 week of heavy Q&A compliance testing by several Ubisoft teams. If it passes, then it goes to the first parties to be certified for release." Right off rip, guys, the amount of transparency shown in these first few sentences is absolutely amazing. The fact that Mark Rubin has actual answers and not some PR bullshit is reassuring me. You know, unlike other PR teams that are currently going through a scandal of their own. And honestly, with XDefiant being the biggest competitor COD has had since roughly 2010, Mark Rubin needed to have this kind of response. Let's continue forward. Mark goes on to say, quote, "After we get a pass from all first parties, we are then ready to ship and need probably 1 to 2 weeks before launch depending on the date of the pass. If we don't pass, then we need to spend about a month fixing the issues that come up from the submission and repeat the above process. At the end of July, we started this process and we got our first results back by mid-August, which was a not pass. We are currently in the CM prep part of that process and will hopefully be submitting to first parties in a little less than 2 weeks. Here's a very important part of this article, so I need you guys to listen up. If that passes cleanly, then we could be looking to a mid to end of September release. There is, however, a likely scenario where we get a conditional pass, meaning we have to do a day 1 patch with some final fixes to ensure compliance. If we do need to do a day 1 patch, then that pushes our date out to early/mid October. And there we go, guys. End of September to early October seems to be on Mark Rubin's radar for now. As long as the game passes all of its QA checks, we could be playing XDefiant in just a few weeks. Again, absolutely love the transparency Mark is showing off here. Now, with that being said, the Modern Warfare 3 Beta Weekend 1 is going to be available around the same time XDefiant is set to release, so seeing how XDefiant is going to hold up while MW3 is soaking up the glory, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm really intrigued to see what Ubisoft is going to do here, because this whole time their marketing has been centered around bringing back the feel of classic Call of Duty, but within the Tom Clancy universe. But Modern Warfare 3 is bringing back a lot of things that made classic COD prestigious in nature, like remastering over a dozen maps from the original Modern Warfare 2, bringing back red dots on the minimap, and a lot of major things that are taking longtime fans of Call of Duty into a state of euphoria. Mark Rubin wraps up the article by saying this: "If we were following the standard rules for game releases, we would have set a release date far enough in advance with enough buffer to have a confident release date. However, like a lot of things with this game, we have not chosen the typical route. Having millions of people play your game long before it's ready is not normal. Not being afraid to show an unfinished game to millions of people with all of its flaws is not normal. These were real tests and not just marketing events. So when it comes to when we will release, the real answer is as soon as we can." To kind of pause right here for a moment, he's not necessarily wrong. I was one of the millions who participated in both playtests for XDefiant, and it wasn't until late into the second playtest where I really felt like this game had a vision behind it. And to be honest, if the second playtest for XDefiant didn't happen, I would not be supporting this game at all. Just as simple as that. A part of me is actually really thankful that they decided to release the game into a closed playtest with the issues that it had. There are, of course, a lot of reasons as to why I would say that, but I think the most important one is because Ubisoft is its own worst enemy when it comes to releasing projects. They do not let their titles cook long enough in the oven. They also don't like it when people talk negatively about their games. So to see Mark Rubin take this title as serious as he is, that very well could be an indicator about how sustainable XDefiant is going to be. We can also reference how good the game is doing now compared to when it was in its closed playtest state. Some people may say that that's unfair and completely unnecessary. For me, I say it's part of the learning process. Let's finish up the paragraph and then I'll tie in my thoughts at the end. Mark Rubin wraps up the rest of the article by saying, "We've even shown that we will add features in the middle of development based on player request. Map voting, which is in now, and an S&D-like mode that is coming later are 2 examples of this. We want this to be your game." If you guys want to read this article in its entirety, I paraphrased a lot of this. Go ahead and click that link in the description. It'll take you right to it. So to kind of summarize here, we have Mark Rubin saying that if the next phase of development goes well, we can see a late September, early October release, which is fucking huge. We are seeing map voting in the game once it releases, an S&D mode in a later update, and a game that is tailored to its player base. Something that I wish we didn't have to pay $70 for, Activision. Like I said earlier, with this game coming out around the same time as the beta weekends for MW3, it will definitely be interesting to see how this game is going to hold up. There are a lot of things though to keep in mind here. XDefiant is going to be free and MW3 is going to be $70. XDefiant is made by Ubisoft and MW3 is made by Sledgehammer, who is now owned by Activision. Both of these titles have development teams that are on everyone's shit list, especially on the COD side of the house. Activision seems prouder than ever that they plan on giving us a bunch of old remade maps, beautifully remade maps mind you, but regardless, old remade maps that were supposed to be in Modern Warfare 22 that are now being sold to us, the consumer. A fair share of people on one side of the house aren't gonna give a shit, and I'm happy for them, but the pissed off vocal side of the house doesn't feel like Modern Warfare 3 is worth the money, so XDefiant is the game that they are writing for. And to be honest, I'm on that side of the house to an extent. For me personally, right, I'm so goddamn tired of Call of Duty. I'm tired of the business model, I'm tired of the shitty business decisions like adding pay-to-win ops and DMZ. I'm just tired of the franchise because it's getting stagnant. XDefiant, to me, honestly, feels like a breath of fresh air. The game plays much like an old Call of Duty game, but the visuals and the features of the game is what really draws me in. And for a free-to-play title, I'm banking on getting more entertainment and hours out of it than I ever will with Modern Warfare 3. Nothing about Modern Warfare 3 is telling me to spend the $70, but a lot of what I've seen with XDefiant basically assures it some hard drive space once it releases. Another reason why I'm going to absolutely no-life XDefiant when it comes out is because I know for the next 5 years at least it's going to have content to support it. Some people are super skeptical of that, and I honestly have no idea why. Because Ubisoft has already made the content roadmap for XDefiant publicly known for a few months now. By the time that roadmap is no good, the next Call of Duty is already going to be out. And then the year after that, a new Call of Duty is going to come out, and I'm sick of that bullshit ass rotation. I'm sick of dropping $70 every year for an experience that is no different from last year's. And at least with XDefiant, if the game goes tits up, I had 2 or 3 years of content out of it before I have to go play something else. I do worry, however, that the game at some point might, and I mean might, suffer from the same curse R6 did, where for the longest time the game was dying and no matter what Ubisoft did, nothing was pulling people in. Until all of a sudden they just kind of pulled themselves out of the shit that they buried themselves under, and now the game has about the same active players daily as Modern Warfare 22. Regardless, I am very excited for XDefiant. I'll be covering XDefiant and playing it here on this channel. But what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know in the comments section how you guys are feeling about XDefiant. Also, if you guys liked the video, then consider hitting that like button, that sub button, and ring that notification bell for more content like this. And as always, my name is Red Beer Mortis. Speak loud, speak the truth, and I will see you in the next one.